the first and the most classic one, we have the Willis Tower, Skydeck, and the Ledge. So if you haven't heard of this, it was also called the Sears Tower. A lot of Chicagoans refuse to call it Willis Tower at this point. And it's a very beautiful, very tall building from which you can see the entirety of the city. So I have like a personal story from the Willis Tower. As a part of the Indian Student Association Executive Board, last year in the spring, we actually had our formal night here. And so we had like, food, we had like a stage with a DJ playing, and then a raffle in which the first, I think, 25 or 50 people that came and signed in downstairs were allowed to go to the Skydeck part where they could overlook Chicago from the highest point. Devyani, do you have anything to add?
No, those towers, you should definitely go visit it.
It's very pretty.
Yeah, it's very pretty.
Frightening when you're standing on top because it looks like there's cars just kind of going from under you, but once you get used to it, it's very pretty, especially at night.
Yeah. Right.
All right, the second place, very classic, is Navy Pier. So that's kind of one of the most touristy places. And the best the best time to go to Navy Pier is early fall or during the summer. The lake itself is beautiful, and there's like rides, there's restaurants. Navy Pier has some of the best restaurants. If you don't feel like going to one of the expensive restaurants, there's also McDonald's. Pro tip. We love McDonald's. And there's a lot to do. There's different events that get held in Navy Pier throughout the summer. So for example, right before Pride, they did have a little bit of like a parade there, as well as some different stalls, different kinds of foods.
Our Residence Hall Association on campus also had their boat cruise there. So Navy Pier has the Odyssey, and that's where we've had our boat cruise for the last 3 years at least. Really
so that's like a school-sponsored event as well. So you like buy tickets, and we take you on a cruise for like a little bit, and there's food served on it as well.
Yep. All right. The next thing to do in Chicago is go to Millennium Park. I actually went to Millennium Park my very first week of coming to Chicago, and I was very surprised that there was a bean right in the middle of the park. It was really interesting.
We love the bean.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. And also there's ice skating in Millennium Park, which is really great. I still haven't been, so I really want to go.
Neither have I.
We're planning now. But ice skating is really great there, and you can walk around Millennium Park. They also have open concerts there, so they're all free to the public, and you can just go there, sit on the grass and listen to people perform and see them do their thing, which is really cool. It also connects to the Art Institute, which we will also talk about, which is really nice. So,
especially during the summer, they have like a lot of random events like Family Day and stuff, and there'll just be like someone over there that's like selling popsicles and things, and it's just a really nice chill place to hang out.
Yep. Right. The next place is the Art Institute that Millennium Park actually connects to. You can walk from Millennium Park to the Art Institute. They're really, really close to each other. The Art Institute is where there's a lot of artwork. It's an art gallery, so you can actually see a lot of things there, a lot of cool things. I've heard from a lot of people who've been there that it's been one of the best art galleries that they've seen, which is really interesting. And almost all the museums in Chicago actually have free resident days, and they also have student discounts for us. So there is a lot of opportunities to go there without having to even pay for it, which is really cool because then it's just a free experience.
All right, the next thing that we're going to look at is John Hancock. So just a little bit of history. It was the first modern skyscraper, and it offers like a 360-degree view across Lake Michigan and across like basically all of Chicago, and you can like look into the next states as well. And it's the prettiest time to go is usually like when the sun is either rising or setting. I don't think they're open when the sun is rising, so sunset is usually the most popular time that you can go.
Yeah. Right, the next one.
And the next one is the Chicago Riverwalk. So this is open. It's just like located, you know, next to the river, as the name suggests. And it's a very scenic and beautiful route. You just kind of want to unwind after like a long week. Just go for a stroll along the Riverwalk. There's like a really, if you're an architecture student specifically, because a lot of my friends are, they like going down there just to get like some sort of inspiration for their drawing sometimes, or to marvel at the different kinds of architecture that Chicago has to offer. Because you can see a lot of the buildings that are like Chicago skyline, like really up close.
Yeah, at night they also have some shows like light shows on the buildings that you can watch from the Riverwalk. I did that over the summer once, which was really, really nice. So we also have kayaks on the river that's right next to the Riverwalk. So you can actually go on kayaks and just spend a sunny day there, which we don't have a lot of in Chicago, but when they do come, people take advantage of it, which is really good. So
Definitely stay here for a summer.
yeah, definitely
Because
here for the summer. Because that's when you can do the most amount of things. There's music festivals, there's food truck festivals and stuff. So definitely good things to go to.
you also have a lot more time.
You also have a lot more time. Yes. So the city also offers Segway tours. Another place that you can also go on Segways is MSI, which we will also talk about a little bit more later. But you can actually go around the city and you can go to the lakefront and near the Field Museum and Shed Aquarium, and you can go around on a Segway. Segway is really, if you have never been on a Segway, it's definitely more fun than walking. I can attest to that. I have used a Segway for an entire summer and have taught people to ride the Segway
How
as well.
many times did you fall off?
I actually never fell off, so it's
Uh,
actually pretty safe unless you're,
me.
yeah. So definitely do a Segway tour. It's absolutely a lot of fun. So, right?
All right, the next thing we're going to look at are untouchable tours. I haven't actually been on one of these myself, but I've heard that they're really cool. So the guides are different actors and they take on the roles of 1920s gangsters. They present like an account of the activities that were going on in Chicago in the 1920s and 30s, which also was the Prohibition era. Um, and so some of the sites that they include are the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, the Biograph Theater, and the Holy Name Cathedral.
Right.
The next place you can also go to is the Chicago Architecture Center or Foundation. It's one of our like older historic buildings, and it's one of like the cultural hubs of Chicago because you can see how architecture in Chicago has evolved in the past 50, 60 years. So Chicago itself, especially if you look at the skyline, is a mix of like old buildings and new buildings and different kinds of architecture. Like you'll always have Victorian style architecture as well as the very modern type. And the Architecture Foundation is a good place to go for one of those.
Yeah. The next is the Mag Mile, which you should definitely visit because it's spectacular. If you just go and walk there, there's so much stuff to do, and you can just keep walking and be in awe of it. I've done that a couple of times, just walk
I
down.
definitely did that the first couple of months. We would go to Magma and would be like, this is beautiful.
Yeah. And
Also, when they like set up for Christmas, the
yeah,
lights and stuff, they're really pretty.
yes. At night, Mag Mile is beautiful. Isn't Mag Mile where the new Starbucks roastery is, or am I wrong?
I think so.
So the biggest Starbucks in the world is in Chicago right now, and it's in, I think it's on Mag Mile. So definitely go check that out as well if you do end up going to Mag Mile. And you should check out Adler Planetarium. It's right next to Lake Michigan, so you can actually go to the lakefront, and Adler Planetarium is right there. So it has really good views. And speaking of lakefront, if you're there for sunset, it's really beautiful. So Adler Planetarium is one of the places you should definitely visit. And they also have resident free days, so you can actually go there for free. It's really cool.
The next place is the Field Museum. So that's just a natural history museum in Chicago. It's one of the largest ones in the world, and it's got scientific programs and educational programs, and it's just like a fun weekend activity for you to do. Most museums in Chicago do have free resident days, so definitely be on the lookout for those. All you need to do is like prove that you're currently living in Illinois or in Chicago at the time, which should be like your school ID should be enough to prove that.
Yeah, as far as I know, your student ID should be enough proof. Okay. Museum of Science and Industry. So I actually was an intern at the Museum of Science and Industry this last summer. So I was there for an entire summer and I never got bored of it. So it's a really, really cool place. There's a lot of different places within the museum that you can go to. And you can do so much in that museum. It took me an entire month to visit the entire museum, even after working there, because they gave us exploring time as well. So it's a really, really cool place. We do like interactive science shows and stuff. And if you're looking for an internship, MSI actually has a program with IIT. So it's actually an opportunity that you can take within your first or second year at IIT for the summer. So all you have to do is go and volunteer there for one semester, which is I think 4 or 5 times in a semester, which is really not that much. And once you go there, if you like public speaking, if you like interacting with people and teaching them stuff in like an unofficial setting, it's really, really cool because I'm a fan of just like unofficial education. And we did a lot of really cool shows there. We even did a show that was called Poop Happens, which was very interesting when you're on stage and talking to kids about that. It's great to like just look at their expressions and stuff. It's a good place to go visit. And if you work at the Museum of Science and Industry, you get free access to all the other museums in Chicago. So even while you're volunteering them there, so you have an entire semester to just go around everywhere in Chicago, basically, and visit those places. So it's a really cool place to go to. I will stop plugging it now, but you should go there.
Also, one of the events that we did have last semester in MSI was the Greek formal. And so different organizations have like formals at IIT, and some of the biggest ones are like Greek formal, the Union Board formal, and ISAs. So Greek formal was just like all the sororities and fraternities and like the Greek council put it together. It was a ticketed event, so anyone from IIT could come. Anyone from outside of IIT could also come, but they'd have to pay a higher price for it. And so we just had like a night that was really fun. Everyone was all dressed up and like walking around MSI, and it was a really fun time.
Since we are a tech school, we're really into science. So, okay, moving on. We also have the National Museum of Mexican Arts, which I don't know a lot about, so I can't really talk too much about this. But I know that it's a really cool museum. It has a lot of, like, they have textile collections and stuff, and they're representing the culture of Mexico. Chicago is called the city of neighborhoods because it has so many different neighborhoods where you can see different kinds of cultures. I took a class called Global Chicago in school, so if you want to take that class, you get to go around to different neighborhoods and talk about those neighborhoods, which is really fun for me. So if you want to go visit museums and stuff, you can do that as
well. Okay, now we've moved on to places to eat. One Chicago classic is Lou Malnati's. It's a Chicago-style pizza restaurant chain, and if you come to Chicago, you have to try Lou Malnati's. You have to try Chicago-style pizza, and this is one of the best places to do it. So definitely, like, take a little trip to Lou Malnati's.
Yeah, they have deep dish pizza, and when we talked about Navy Pier, they actually have a Giordano's there. So if you want deep dish pizza at Navy Pier, they also have it there.
You can't have the full Chicago experience without it.
Yes.
The next place we're going to look at is Little Italy, which is on Taylor Street. And so it's a nice little like quaint neighborhood, and it's known for like its awesome Italian food. And so it's just one of the places we recommend that you try out in your time here.
So we also have Chinatown, which is really close to campus. So this is one place where most IIT students have had food and bubble tea. So if you go there, you should definitely try rolled ice cream. You should try their bubble tea, their boba tea, there's a place called Chi Cafe there, and then there's also
Ooh.
Joey's, which are pretty famous.
They also have the bakeries that serve like traditional Chinese desserts as well. So like you should definitely try those. Also, you'll find yourself as a college student, sometimes you get cravings for food at odd hours like midnight. Um, a lot of times, the only restaurants that are open are Chinese restaurants, and I think I've had my fair share of Chinese food just in the library at like 1 or 2 a.m.
Yeah,
So,
they have 4 a.m. So
Mingyan cuisine is open.
yes. They also have a karaoke place in Chinatown, which I went to once, which was really cool. It's really interesting. They have karaoke rooms that you can go to. Yeah. So this is all we had in the presentation, but we can add a few more things about Chicago that are not in the presentation. So one of the things that happens annually in Chicago is Open House Chicago, where you actually get to go to almost all different places. Even IIT opens up, I think, Crown Hall and a few of our buildings to public, so they can just come and visit these places for free. Is it free? It's
I
free.
think it's free.
I think it is free. So you just go around and you can literally enter any of the places that are usually ticketed for the rest of the year, but you can go to any of those places for free. So Open House Chicago, I think, lasts 2 days, and then you can just go around to many different places and just visit them just because you're living in Chicago. And then, as I mentioned, we have the Food Truck Festival. We have music festivals like Lollapalooza is in Chicago, I know. And then there's some different comedy specials. I know Trevor Noah came to Chicago once. And we also have a lot of different musicals. Have you been to a musical, Tana?
I have not yet. It was on my bucket list to do for this year. So we'll see about that next semester.
Yeah.
But like Chicago also has like a ton of concerts because we are like a very large city and a very large hub. So chances are, if you have a favorite artist, they will stop on tour here. And so like definitely go on concerts. I've been to a Panic at the Disco concert with the school. So that was my first concert. And it was in the spring of last year. Sometimes Union Board, which is one of our organizations at this university, will buy a bunch of tickets and then sell them out at discount prices. So I got to see Panic at the Disco for $15, and the school took us there and brought us back. So that was really fun. I've also been to a John Bellion concert over the summer, which was like a completely different experience because Panic at the Disco was when it was really cold out, and I've been to Noah Kahan at the House of Blues. Brianna also did ask us like if I have a favorite place to walk around in the city, and this is gonna sound odd, but I love going down to Roosevelt and like walking around, just because I feel like Roosevelt is in the middle of everything. Like I know most people prefer going downtown, but I prefer Roosevelt because first of all, I'm a fan of Target. I really like going into Target and getting unnecessary things that I do not need. It is one of my favorite pastimes. And then besides that, Roosevelt has like a bunch of nice like restaurants and eating locations. So one of the places that I would recommend you go is Molly's Cupcakes. They're really good. They won Cupcake Wars a few years ago. And it's just like a really nice, the aesthetic of it is also really cute. And so I definitely suggest you go there at least once or twice. And like from there, if you like want to walk just around or in the neighborhood or like to a park, it's all very accessible.
Yeah, I really like walking to 31st Street Beach. It's a 15-minute walk from campus, which is really not far. And I really like going there to just watch. I've heard the sunrise there is better, but I haven't gone there to watch the sunrise yet.
I could stay up till the sunrise.
I have gone there to watch the sunset, and I also really like walking at the lakefront, so you can tell I love water as long as I'm not going inside the water. So
also, The 31st Street Beach is a great place to watch the fireworks if you don't want to go to Navy Pier, because Navy Pier is usually really crowded. And so we decided to just like watch the fireworks from 31st Street Beach. We brought snacks with us and like we laid out a little blanket and it was like a little picnic. So I'd suggest doing that as well if you're here over the summer.
Yep.
Does anyone have any questions for us? They can be about Chicago or they can just like be about the school. We are both ambassadors for the admissions office.
Yep.
So if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them. Brianna, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, I'll just talk through the microphone. My name is Brianna. I'm a fourth-year computer science major, and I'm from Hawaii, so I've been the one answering the couple questions inside of the chat. But I wanted to add my favorite place probably to walk around in the city is honestly in the Mag Mile, because there are so many different places that you can just go and find something, walk into a shop. There's so many different people there. You can hear, like I went a couple weeks ago and there were a lot of people playing instruments on the street and so much was happening. It was sunny out, it was lively, and it's just kind of a different setting that I at least appreciated.
I agree.
I agree too. Does anyone else have any questions? Because this is all we had for you guys. All right, then thank you for coming to our webinar. We hope to see you for future webinars as well. The link will be the same and the schedule of what webinars are happening should be on our website. Do keep in mind that we are updating that every week, if not daily. So check back in to see if there's anything else you might have questions on. Ooh, there's a question. Okay. So the question is about safety on campus. I can speak about that, or Devyani, do you? I'll speak about it first. Okay. So we do have a good amount of safety on campus. Public safety does rounds all night, like within their cars and stuff. If you ever feel unsafe or you want them to drop you off either to your dorm or to like someplace that's within like a mile away if you live off campus, or if you want them to take you from your dorm to another like academic building, you can always call them on their non-emergency number and they will come and pick you up. Definitely people like collate in the library at odd hours. So if it's like 2 a.m. you don't want to walk home, there's definitely a group of people in the library that public safety is already escorting, and you can like jump in on that. We also have a bunch of the little like blue signals around campus. I think we have about 100, 120 of them or so. And as soon as you press one, public safety will be there within 90 seconds. So that being said, the general rule of thumb is that we advise students to have like common sense and like practice that. So like if you're going out, it's always best to go out in a group and just be aware of your surroundings. Like don't be walking with at 3 a.m. with your eyes just glued to your phone kind of a thing. And like don't be like really flashy. Like don't have like 15 gadgets out that you're like constantly like looking at as you're walking around places.
Yeah, I can add a few things too. So public safety released an app called the Guardian app, which you can have on your phone as well. So if you're trying to walk around on campus, or if at any point you feel like you need to text public safety because you can't call them if you do feel unsafe at some point, then they have the Guardian app, so you can either call them or you can text them through the app. So it does seem like you're just talking to somebody, but they can actually come up to you to help you at that point. But I have never had any problems like that. So I actually have a few night classes this semester, and up until now, I had to walk back to my to my room and stuff. And I've never felt unsafe because public safety is always doing rounds, and there are poles right near wherever I'm walking to. So I've always felt like I'm okay being on campus and walking if I have to. But yeah, as Samya said, just be a little bit careful, just because you should always be careful wherever you are. Just walk around in groups if you can. If you can't, then make sure that people know where you are. That's it. Should be good.
Another cool thing about public safety is that, so during spring last semester, I broke my ankle and I couldn't like make it to class because like I was in a boot and I was in pain. And so for the first couple of weeks, I did actually call public safety to take me from my dorm to my classes. And like that is something that you can do if you ever need to do that.
Yep.
Are there any other questions? We're gonna hang around here for another like 10, 15 minutes if you guys have questions.
Otherwise,